Hello, people. Andrew here, talking about comics from a reader, collector, speculator, investor point of view, in that order of importance to myself. Today it's one of those dollar bins. This is my November dollar bin. I was up to the store a couple of times this November because we visited somebody up in Collingwood, and I picked up some books. I went a couple of times. Mostly these are the dollar bin books that I picked up, but there were a couple of others, and we'll go through that. So first of all, I'm looking at Astonishing Tales number 5, featuring Kazar and Doctor Doom. It's $5. It's a Bronze Age, an early Bronze Age book. I have no intention. I didn't have any intention of actually working on this series. I just saw this book, and at $5, it seemed like a pretty good price for a Doctor Doom and Kazar book. This one I bought at a different store. I went up to Stainer for this one. I feel like to me it's overpriced. I paid more for it than I wanted to. The only reason I tried to find out why is this one more expensive than all the others for the Avengers Arena number 14 is just simply because it's got the homage to the Frank Miller cover from Wolverine number 1, so it's got the higher price tag on it. I don't feel like that deserves a higher price tag, but that's what the market says, and I needed this particular issue just to complete the series, so I forked over the money that I wasn't happy about forking over. Alright, so I still collect about 4 different titles just to keep the runs alive. The stories have been alright, but not particularly great, but we'll find out. I mean, this is the Moon Knight thing, and I keep working on Moon Knight, so I ended up getting the 2 copies of 13 and 14, so one would have come in for the tail end of October and the other one for November. Same thing here with the Fantastic Four. I haven't read this newest part of the Fantastic Four. I just finished off reading all of the Ryan North stuff up to issue number 33, but there's this new issues of Fantastic Four. And then we get into the dollar bin. They're actually not dollar bins up in Barrie. They're $2 bins, but that's still a really low price for a bunch of comic books. So most of this stuff is filler material. There's no great keys or anything to be found. It's just stuff that works on collections I have. And speaking of that, you probably run into a fair amount of the same titles because I'm focused on certain titles. But I will get from time to time some odd bits and pieces. Unfortunately, there's no bronze or silver in here that I'm aware of. I don't think so, I think. But there's a lot of stuff that happened relatively recently and a lot of stuff from the 2000s plus. This, for example, came out this year in 2025. There was a series of 6 of these books, Bring on the Bad Guys, based on the characters featured in the book Bring on the Bad Guys, which I do have a copy of as well. Being a Doctor Strange fan, I thought I'd give one a shot, and here was the issue about Dormammu. And this one, I'm not diving into Birds of Prey yet. I've liked the bits and pieces that I've read of Birds of Prey, but this is the final issue of that first run, or is it the second run? I can't remember, but it's the final issue of this particular run. And I'm always happy to get more Wonder Woman from the second series, actually from pretty much any series that goes in towards filling up that collection, but I'm particularly working on the second series, so getting all of this stuff at $2 a piece was really good. And it's written by Greg Rucka, and I do like Greg Rucka's material, and these covers are fine too. So I'm looking forward to reading this series, and moving closer to finishing the Wonder Woman series, the second one. The biggest books I have left to buy are some of the Adam Hughes covers. So as I say, getting anything after 200 to 230 at a low price is really good. Now, this is a newer Wonder Woman. It's legacy numbering 804. I haven't read a lot of the new material, but again, this is relatively recent. So once again, picking it up for $2 a piece, and I know that there's been a push on this whole absolute Wonder Woman, absolute Batman. What's the other one? All in Batman, all of these things. And it's been getting some attention, and people have been enjoying this particular series. I don't know anything about what the All In or the Absolutes are all about, but once again, getting stuff at $2 a pop, that was a pretty good deal. I believe this is the last issue of Marvel Knights Spider-Man before it turns into Spectacular Spider-Man. I believe, but I'm working on that one when I can find a copy. Thunderbolts. Now, this was not something that I was particularly interested in. I picked up some when I was filling up a bin, you know, for X amount of dollars you fill up a bin, and it's like, oh, I got space left, so I stuffed in a bunch of Thunderbolts. And the earlier stuff by Fabian Descenzia, is that how you say his name? I'm not sure. Anyways, I didn't really care for it too much. Now, to be fair, I was reading it in spots and bits and pieces. It didn't really appeal to me too much, and I thought, oh, whatever. But then I got to issue 110, and I believe that's the one that's written by Warren Ellis and illustrated by Mike Diodato. And what they were doing with the storyline, I really liked. So I started keeping an eye out for those kinds of books. And I just happened to pass by issue number 1 of Thunderbolts, and I thought, well, that's a good place to start. But as you can see, this is the Ellis stuff. So it was very short, the time on it. It was like 15 issues. So I'm looking forward to getting all 15 or so of those issues and then sitting down and reading the whole thing in order. So very happy about getting these few Thunderbolts books to add to that, bring that one closer to a close. And then I did get some that were beyond that, some of the even the later ones up to 160 or whatever, and I liked the direction that that version of Thunderbolts was going as opposed to the earlier one. So finishing off that is good, and again, being part of the Dark Reign series always works for me because I did like the Dark Reign. So, and I do like these covers. So interesting read these later Thunderbolts. And this is, I'm working on completing Marvel Fanfare, so no great shakes about this. This is just issue number 4, so I'm trying to complete that series. All right, there's 3 batches here. That was batch 1. They're not big batches, but this is what you get. So as I was saying, I'm picking up characters that I normally buy, and Thor would be one of them. Still working on all of the Thor material from wherever, and there's a lot of it. But a couple of years ago when I first started getting back somewhat even more, well, it was more than that, but I only had like a short box of Thor material, and now I'm up to 4 short boxes of Thor material, and most of it's been bought on the cheap. So this I was happy to get. I think the only thing I need left for Matt Fraction's run on the Mighty Thor is the annual. I think that's the only one that I need. It's either the annual and issue number 18, I think, or just the annual. But anyways, getting issues number 1, 2, and 3. That's issue number 2. And issue number 3 in the dollar bins was really a score for me because, it brings this one very close to completion. And still working on Thor. This is Loyalty number 708. So building up some of this stuff, and then this is again part of Jason Aaron's run. Jason Aaron's run goes all over the place, and by that I mean it's a Thor book. It's an immortal Thor. It's Thor, God of Thunder or whatever. But like various titles that he wrote that still have the Thor banner. I would have been happy enough if it just all stayed under one banner, but that's not the case. Now I do like Deathstroke. I have his first series, and I'm still working on that one, a few issues of that. The tail end ones are difficult to find. But I have no intention of diving into that right now. I've got other things on the go. I just happen to really like this cover, so I picked up a Deathstroke. This one I haven't seen too much. It's part of the Civil War. It was an event that I actually enjoyed reading. And the front line, a couple of books that are, people from the news point of view, from the common man almost point of view, taking a look at the Civil War. I found that was rather interesting. So finding a few of these books to add to that, it's only an 11-issue series, and coincides with the Civil War. So finding some of this stuff was really nice because, as I say, I found it was an event that I particularly liked. And that's the last one of the front line. And this was a 4-issue run that tied in with Civil War as well. So once again, working on the whole Civil War concept, I thought I'd pick this one up. I don't know how many there's not many. There's like 30, 35 of these classics illustrated by First Publishing, and I'm working on getting the whole set. This was not one that I was particularly interested in. There's a couple other ones, Moby Dick by Bill Sienkiewicz and Sienkiewicz. And I was looking for that one, but finding this one, this is issue number 6 for in the $2 bin. That works for me. And this is a relatively new Captain America, 2023, I think it's from. Again, just again working on that set. And the Green Arrow, I still need some of the stuff from his first series, which I would be happier to get. But the second series, I'm working my way through it, and it's got some decent storylines happening there. So when I had an opportunity to pick up some of these books, I thought, well, why not? You know, and you get Zatanna in there as well, so that's pretty good. And that looks like it's Solomon Grundy. Oh, that one's upside down. Are they all upside down from here on in? They are. Alright, so we'll just turn those upside right. And again, this is all part of that, I guess it's the second run, yeah. And I've enjoyed the Green Arrow. I do like the stories that are with the Green Arrow. Nice that I got a conclusion to that storyline. Looks like I got a whole chunk of books leading up to this storyline, or at least to the conclusion. And then once again, these are relatively new, 2023, 2024, something like that. So happy to pick up stuff at a $2 price tag as opposed to a $4 price tag. And that's $4 American, which would be about $5 here in Canada. So spending $2 a piece for some of the more current Green Arrow and getting an idea of what's going on with the stories, I'm happy with that. So working on that one. And again, part of that absolute stuff. All right, last batch. Last batch starts off with the second printing of Age of Ultron number 3. I need a few issues to complete the Age of Ultron before I can sit down and read the whole thing in its entirety. I'm missing number 3, so if it's a second print, then it's a second print, but we'll get a chance to read it. And not really diving too much into this version of Firestorm yet, but I will be getting there, so... again, some of the stuff I just liked for the covers, and I also liked the fact that this was the 0 issue. Sometimes 0 issues are not as easy to find as some of the others. I did like the image on the cover. As I said, I'm not a big Batwoman fan. I like Batman, which we'll see, but some of the extensions of it, I prefer actually Catwoman stories. But happy enough to get an issue number 1 of Batwoman Rebirth. And for some reason, I got a Rebirth of Batgirl. I may have thought that I was just working on the Batwoman, but here we go. We got a Rebirth of Batgirl as well. And then I got into a whole bunch of Batman material. This one's probably, from the early 92, I think it is. Yeah, so as I said, a lot of Batman material. I do like Batman as a character, so this is Matt Wagner working on this one. This is part 1, this is part 2. So having a couple of issues like that is good. And then we jump into the Rebirth situation with Batman when Tom King's run was working on. And a lot of people had good things to say about Tom King. They just weren't necessarily crazy about the way that it ended up. But there was a lot of praise for the earlier material. And as I said, I enjoyed reading Batman in all these ways. So all of this early Rebirth material, happy to get all of that stuff. And this is pretty much a huge Batman chunk. Again, Batman was one of those books where I had Batman and Detective and pretty much everything, and Legends of the Dark Knight. I had all of those in 2 long boxes, and now I've got them, because I bought so much, probably more, in like 4 long boxes worth of Batman related material. And that's just in the last 2 to 3 years, because I bought, getting back into the hobby in a big way and finding all these dollar bin books and stuff, and people passing over all of this Batman material. It's just, sure, I'll read it at, sometimes as low as 50 cents a book, so sure, sign me up. So I'm buying all this earlier Rebirth stuff. As you say, I'm only up to issue number 17 here, and then it jumps, and I go a little bit higher into the run. Still Tom King doing the run here. I have most of the stuff surrounding issue number 50. And then we start jumping to later. Again, these have a price, cover price of $5 basically, which is closer to $6 in Canada. So getting them for $2 is really good. And again, it's, you know, newer material. And we're going to get into the, I do like some of these covers too. And then I jump into, again, the absolute sort of Batman here. With issue number 151, so written by Chip Zdarsky, so I get to start seeing what that is all about. And this is another one of those, but it's the next one is also is considered all in. I don't know exactly what all of these, the absolutes and the all ins, and eventually I'll get there, but I know that it's something that's currently going on with DC, and people seem to be appreciative of it and enjoy it. So getting, again, a copy of Batman number 153, normally $5 for $2, and it's part of that all-in line. Hey, sign me up. Alright, that's what I picked up for November, and that's it for this video. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk again soon. Be good to yourself, be good to others, and we'll talk again soon.